Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman Biography. The life of Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman is the saga of a great leader, turning people power into an armed struggle that liberated a nation and created the world's eighth most populous state. The birth of the sovereign state of Bangladesh in December 1971, after a heroic war of 9 months against the Pakistani colonial rule, was the triumph of his faith in the destiny of his people. Sheikh Mujib, endearingly called Bangabandhu or friend of Bengal, rose from the people, molded their hopes and aspirations into a dream and staked his life in the long battle for making it real. He was a true democrat and he employed in his struggle for securing justice and fair play for the Bengalis only democratic and constitutional weapons until the last moment. It is no accident of his story that in an age of military coup-dated and strong men, Sheikh Mujib attained power through elections and mass movement, and that in an age of decline of democracy. He firmly established democracy in one of the least developed countries of Asia. Sheikh Mujib was born on 17 March 1920 in a middle class family at Tungipara in Gopalganj district. Standing 5 feet 11 inches, he was taller than the average Bengali. Nothing pleased him more than being close to the masses, knowing their joys and sorrows, and being part of their troubles and triumphs. He spoke their soft language, but in articulating their sentiments, his voice was powerful and resonant. He had not been educated abroad, nor did he learn the art of hiding feelings behind sophistry. Yet he was loved as much by the urban educated as the common masses of the villages. He inspired the intelligentsia and the working class alike. He did not, however, climb the leadership overnight. His political life began as a humble party worker. While he was still a student, he was fortunate to come in early contact with such touring personalities as Hossein Said Sohrawardi and the Ek Fazlul Haq, both charismatic chief ministers of undivided Bengal. Adolescent Mujib grew up under the gathering gloom of stormy politics as the again British Raj in India was falling apart and the Second World War was violently rocking the continents. He witnessed the ravages of the war and the stark realities of the Great Famine of 1943, in which about 5 million people lost their lives. The tragic plight of the people under colonial rule turned young Mujib into a rebel. This was also the time when he saw the legendary revolutionary Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose challenging the British Raj. Also, about this time, he came to know the works of Bernard Shaw, Karl Marx, Rabindranath Tagore, and rebel poet Kazi Nazrul Islam. Soon after the partition of India in 1947, it was felt that the creation of Pakistan with its two wings separated by a physical distance of about 100 miles was a geographical monstrosity. The economic, political, cultural, and linguistic characters of the two wings were also different. Keeping the two wings together under the forced bond of a single state structure in the name of religious nationalism would merely result in a rigid political control and economic exploitation of the eastern wing by the all-powerful western wing, which controlled the country's capital and its economic and military might. In 1948, a movement was initiated to make Bengali one of the state languages of Pakistan. This can be termed the first strings of the movement for an independent Bangladesh. The demand for cultural freedom gradually led to the demand for national independence during that language movement. Sheikh Mujib was arrested and sent to jail. During the blood-drenched language movement in 1952, he was again arrested and this time he provided inspiring leadership for the movement from inside the jail. In 1954, Sheikh Mujib was elected a member of the then East Pakistan Assembly. He joined A.K. Fazlul Haq United Front government as the youngest minister. The ruling clique of Pakistan soon dissolved this government and Sheikh Mujib was once again thrown into prison. In 1955, he was elected a member of the Pakistan Constituent Assembly and was again made a minister when the Awami League formed the provincial government in 1956. Soon after General Ayub Khan staged a military coup in Pakistan in 1958, Sheikh Mujib was arrested once again and a number of cases were instituted against him. He was released after 14 months in prison but was re-arrested in February 1962. In fact, he spent the best part of his youth behind the prison bars. The day of 7 March 1971 was one of the supreme tests in his life. Nearly 2 million freedom-loving people assembled at the Ramna Rescourse Maidan, later renamed Sohrawardi Uddan, on that day to hear their leaders comment for the Battle of Liberation. The Pakistani military Janata was also waiting to trap him and to shoot down the people on the plea of suppressing a revolt against the state. Sheikh Mujib spoke in a thundering voice but in a masterly, well-calculated, restrained language. His historic declaration in the meeting was, "Our struggle this time is for freedom. Our struggle this time is for independence." To deny the Pakistani military an excuse for an crackdown, he took care to put forward proposals for a solution of the crisis in a constitutional way and kept the door open for negotiation. The crackdown, however, did come in the night of 25 March 1971. He declared independence of Bangladesh in the early hours of 26 March 1971. The junta arrested Sheikh Mujibur Rahman for the last time and whisked him away to West Pakistan for confinement for the entire duration of the liberation era. In the name of suppressing a rebellion, the Pakistani military let loose hell on the armed civilians throughout Bangladesh and perpetrated a genocide, killing no less than 3 million men, women, and children, raping women in hundreds of thousands, and destroying property worth billions of taka. Before their ignominious defeat and surrender, they, with the help of their local collaborators, killed a large number of intellectuals, university professors, writers, doctors, journalists, engineers, and eminent persons of other professions. In pursuing a source art policy, they virtually destroyed the whole of the country's infrastructure. But they could not destroy the indomitable spirit of the freedom fighters, nor could they silence the thundering voice of the leader. Tape recording of Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujib's 7 March speech kept on inspiring his followers throughout the war. Forced by international pressure and the imperatives of its own domestic predicament, Pakistan was obliged to release Sheikh Mujib from its jail soon after the liberation of Bangladesh, and on 10 January 1972, the great leader returned to his beloved land and his admiring nation. But as he saw the plight of the country, his heart bled and he knew that there would be no moment of rest for him. Almost the entire nation, including about 10 million people returning from their refuge in India, had to be rehabilitated. The shattered economy needed to be put back on the track. The infrastructure had to be rebuilt. Millions had to be saved from starvation, and law and order had to be restored. Simultaneously, a new constitution had to be formed, a new parliament had to be elected, and democratic institutions had to be put in place. Any ordinary mortal would break down under the pressure of such formidable tasks that needed to be addressed on top priority basis. Although simple at heart, Sheikh Mujib was a man of cool nerves and of great strength of mind. Under his charismatic leadership, the country soon began moving on the road to progress, and the people found their long cherished hopes and aspirations being gradually realized. But at this critical juncture, his life was cut short by a group of anti liberation reactionary forces who, in a pre dawn move on 15 August 1975, not only assassinated him but to the three of his family members and close associates. Thank you.